than 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Tuesday to all of you and yours. This is, yes, it is, the 3 Martini Lunch. It is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, Ashton over there, and have a big day for you as we're looking at the aftermath of the Mark Wayne Mullen approval. He has indeed been confirmed, so we're off to the races there. Also have a special guest who is fighting some legislation down in Jefferson City. There's a lot of legislation in Jefferson City. As you all know, I am a registered lobbyist, so there are going to be times when I am talking about some things that I actually am working on as well. But there are a lot of attempts at more regulation, not less. I'm surprised it's actually happening. I'm surprised that with the supermajority that we have Republican-wise, that these things are even getting a walk around the park. It's just incredible to me sometimes, but it is the way it is. And there's a lot of legislation flying around. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I told you about the attempts to add these dispensing fees to all these pharmacy benefit managers. And those are things that, you know, like Stiefel or, Edward Jones and Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis County government, lots of governments, lots of school districts use what's called PBMs. And it's basically express scripts and places like that so the employees can get their medicines more quickly and in some cases cheaply, whatever. Well, now these guys, these small pharmacies all want to have dispensing fees attached to them and everything else and just make it more expensive. It's crazy. And this other one involves the dispensaries, and I voted to legalize marijuana. I was okay with all of that, but I didn't know I was voting for what is turning out to be some kind of syndicate of dispensaries who are now trying to crush the free market. So that's a problem. I'm working on that down in Jefferson City, and I'm going to have a special guest for you on a little later on to talk about that. But it wasn't supposed to be that we, you know, first of all, to get a dispensary license, you have to be special anyway. You and me weren't going to get a dispensary license, I guarantee you. But that said, I wasn't voting to create some kind of monopoly regarding all hemp products and things like that. And that's what some of the dispensary interests are trying for right now, and I don't think it's right. And we'll follow up on that. Also, want to follow up on what's happening in the Supreme Court. Sonia Sotomayor, I mean, I'm surprised sometimes that you get to the level of the Supreme Court sometimes being that stupid. So we're going to follow up on that. And, of course, the latest from CNN. It turns out that ICE actually is working at the airports.
There, what have you been seeing them doing?
Finally, we can take a deep breath here. The numbers have dropped off. The lines are getting shorter. I think the average wait time now is under 40 minutes. So
there you go. So it's working. Now you know why the Democrats didn't want the ICE agents at the airports, because it wasn't about illegal aliens or that they didn't know what they were doing or whatever. It was because it was going to be curing the 150-minute long waits at the airports. And so thank you, President Trump, once again.
You have a flight to catch today.
And ICE agents, by the way.
Good time to come to Hartsfield-Jackson International. Talking about those ICE agents, you can see a few behind me right there. And then I'm going to walk you this direction, and you can see some more of them gathered over here. This is what they've been doing for the most part today, is doing the patrols around the airport.
Yeah, they're helping the lines too, dude. So down to 40 minutes at Hartsfield, which is a really busy airport. Hartsfield is crazy there in Atlanta. Very, very busy. And the wait times are down to 40 minutes. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that I think the brunt of some of the spring break travel, although this week is spring break for a lot of people in St. Louis. Last week was too, but some of the spring break traffic has diminished a little bit. So everything is kind of getting back to normal. And so we'll follow up on that as well throughout the day and give you an update on what is happening there. And the New York Times does a feature on how hard it is for a couple, a family, to live on $500,000 in New York City. It's pretty crazy. The way the media and others see levels of victimhood in this country is just crazy. I do want to have a little fun just to kick it off here with me, because I want to make sure, because I love talking about brands, and and don't worry, I'm not going to bring up the Hardee's story, okay? I'd love to, but you all already know it. That's the beauty of having Common Sense Radio around for as long as has been around. So McDonald's has decided that they're going to, and also, I got to get to this too. What the heck happened to Tucker Carlson? I mean, this guy is slowly but surely, you talk about killing brands, this guy is slowly but surely killing his brand. Anyway, McDonald's Shanghai now has humanoid robots. This is like a little feature, and the kids are all playing with the humanoid robots. In other words, the humanoid robots are rolling around, and they will take your order and hand you your order, and they all have uniforms on, too. Of course they do. So you all thought maybe that AI would be the replacer, and they do already have kiosks and things like that in some restaurants as it is, but I think this is more along lines of entertainment and that kind of thing. All right, and the other one, and I think you guys will appreciate this, some of you, because a lot of people, you're traditionalists, and so you've noticed maybe a downturn in the attire that people have on when they go out to eat. One of the more soul-killing things that I've seen before is I'm out, let's say, not too long ago, I was out Central West End having a drink, whatever, and it was a young guy and his young girlfriend, looking like they were going out on a date, and they were whatever. I don't know what they were doing, but it was kind of a nice restaurant. I mean, it was on the outdoor patio, everything else. But she is wearing a really nice skirt and sandals and everything else. I mean, she's dressed up, basically. And he's got these, like basketball shorts on. Like a silk basketball shorts and his shirt, his hat's on backwards. And I'm thinking, really? Like, why would you do that? Especially when you're taking a girl out to dinner. Why would you dress like that? Like, I don't know. So apparently that's a thing with a lot of young guys is everything is so loose. You all know they've been trying to correct the dress code on airplanes and everything else. You know me. I mean, I'm wearing a collared shirt today, but I do love wearing T-shirts, but I don't really necessarily wear them out to dinner or that kind of thing. Anyway, the big news, kind of making the rounds, is that Ruth Chris has now decided it was going to change its dress code. So basically, they're saying, "Hey, we're going to do a business casual dress code that requires proper attire. We're going to kindly remove all hats when entering the restaurant. Guests wearing ball caps are asked to dine in the bar or the lounge. You can't wear swimwear, pool attire, tank tops, clothing with offensive graphics or language, revealing clothing or exposed undergarments, that kind of thing. You can't wear that in the restaurant." This is apparently in response to people wearing those things in the restaurant, I'm sure, because I'm sure you notice an uptick in that kind of thing, and you are going to get a response, and that apparently is Ruth Chris' response. Now, the media in covering this is calling Ruth Chris fine dining, and a lot of the commentators accurately pointed out that I don't know whether I would necessarily. I'm no snob about this, by the way, and but I'm not quite sure I'd call Ruth Chris fine dining exactly. Some people commenting that it's just kind of a fancier Applebee's, really. I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, calamari, just because you serve it on a white china plate, doesn't make it fine dining. I mean, right? I get it. Lobster mac and cheese, got it. But it's not necessarily fine dining. I mean, sometimes you like adding $20 unnecessarily to the price of a steak doesn't necessarily make it fine dining. And Ruth's Chris, I think, for a while there, because, I mean, I would never, have Ruth's Chris as a destination restaurant. Like, hey, you want to go out to dinner? Let's go to Ruth's Chris. It's like, no way. And there's plenty of other restaurants out there. I always thought Ruth's Chris was more along the lines of like a, what do they call those when you like the business meetings and all that kind of stuff? It's kind of like your expense account place where people go, and everything is really super highly priced. It's kind of like the what is it, 801 Fish or whatever. I one time took Aiden on because he was leaving for school, and so I took him for a special dinner at the 801 Chop House in Clayton, and the steaks were like $80 and $90. It was, and the sides were all like hugely expensive, but it was more or less kind of one of those things where where it's an expense account place. It's where people who are business travelers just go and get bent over for their food, and nobody cares because they're expensing it anyway. It's kind of one of those things. But anyway, I mean, I'm good for Ruth's Chris, though, to start to kind of step up the game a little bit. I think part of Ruth's Chris' attempt to actually be fine dining, even though it's not really fine dining, is because there were some people who were showing up, with their hats on and whatever, and not dressed properly for a dining room. And Ruth's Chris, it fancies itself as fine dining, didn't want to see that because otherwise they really couldn't call themselves fine dining. So you get the picture there. Anyway, yeah. Coming up, ladies and gentlemen, on this happy Tuesday. Beautiful day out there today. Hope you're getting a chance to enjoy a little bit of it at least. Coming up, the dispensary syndicate is attempting to, make its competition maybe go away. We'll follow up on that in just a little bit because it has some really important ramifications for families who are benefiting from hemp products. You've heard me talk about that before. We'll follow up on that. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here. Super happy to be with you and happy Tuesday.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
place to talk. News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Santino Cigar Cocktails right there off of 55 in gorgeous, right Imperial. It's just right off of 55 there. And Mike Marino is such a great host and such a great guy. And I loved going in there for the first time and seeing just everything that he was offering there in terms of not only, now this is fine dining, people. This is handcrafted Sicilian cuisine, which is really pretty amazing. And I know you're like, well, you just mentioned cigars and cocktails. Get to that part of it. I know about the food. Okay, yeah, the food is fantastic. The drinks are amazing. The variety is just absolutely outstanding. And I'm talking about the varieties of whiskeys. I'm talking about the varieties of tequilas. I tried really an exotic tequila when I was there and had a good time. And also the varieties of smoking material. So they've got pipes, they've got some vintage cigars, they've got cigars galore. And I walked into the humidor. The humidor is gigantic. I remember when Mike was saying, yeah, we got a big humidor. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah. And I walk into the restaurant, walk into the place, and that humidor is about the size of the restaurant. It's just gigantic, and all kinds of varieties of cigars and pipe tobaccos and things like that. They have a really groovy area downstairs where you can have retirement parties, receptions, birthday parties, you name it. They've got gaming tables there and all kinds of stuff for you. And it really is a ton of fun being at Santino Cigar Cocktails. Easy to get to. Pretty much, everything is 20 minutes away in the St. Louis area, so it's super easy to get to. And you guys can make sure you get down there, tell them I sent you, and have a good time lounging in all the lounges or even in the wine room, which is a smoke-free part of it. So if you want to be kind of completely smoke-free, that's great. And speaking of smoke, here's the deal. Like Las Vegas and the casinos, they all have those systems, those exhaust systems and things like that. He has the same kind of system there. So even though they're smoking, it's not smoky, right? SantinoCigarCocktails.com. SantinoCigarCocktails.com.
The Laborers International Union of North America, Local 110, was formed in 1933 and from the beginning has strived for progress and the well-being of others. The laborers of Local 110 are hardworking men and women who take pride in their great work. They are the fastest-growing union of construction workers and one of the most effective unions representing plants and quarries. Laborers Local 110 has the best medical benefits, pension, education, and heavy construction training in the market. Visit lu110.com and start your future today.
When I have business clients or guests from out of town, I often take them to Cafe Napoli. I know they're going to enjoy any of the Napoli locations. Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, next to Napoli C, Napoli Kirkwood, or Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the Chesterfield Valley. Excellent food and intellectual conversation, if they bring the intellectual conversation. And NapoliSTL.com, NapoliSTL.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
I'm sure you're familiar with grading on a curve, taking a lower grade, making it better. But is that a good idea? Consider the student who works really hard to get top scores. Then if the teacher grades on a curve, the top scoring student gets nothing. Those not preparing get lifted to a higher grade. Where's the incentive for the A-plus student to do better? Where's the incentive for a C minus, even a D student, when a curve turns those grades into a solid C, maybe a B minus? A new study finds all of this actually sabotages a student's future. But high schools and colleges like to show how great the students are doing. But a lie is a lie. I recall one time one of my daughters was cooking something. Why? The French teacher was giving extra credit for cooking special French cookies. I didn't think that's a good way to learn French. I complained to the teacher, who responded in something in French. Now, I had been a C French student, and I'm not really sure what she did say, but I wanted to say, pardon your French.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL. Number one for live and local conservative talk.
I just would like to get your comments on that.
I'm so glad that you're on the radio, and I want to thank you for that.
I'll tell you why.
1019 and 94.1.
I love these people.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by the Walner Home Selling Team.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a happy Tuesday to all of you and yours. This weather is so beautiful. It's supposed to be beautiful maybe from here on out. And some weekend you need to go to a beautiful place. I looked at it on the internet. It's got a Facebook page, too. It's called Sunray Farms. And it looks like it's a blast. The Rae part of that is the first name of a wonderful woman and mom, Rae Sifrit. And she has written a really amazing op-ed, a commentary about the importance of hemp products and hemp-derived products in her life. As I told you at the top of the show, I have been privileged to be partnering with former state Senator Holly Rader in lobbying down in Jefferson City, and I really love it because so many of the issues that I'm working on are really super important. Like, they affect normal, average, everyday people. This kind of public policy approach is really super rewarding. And so when I do these issues on the radio, I always disclose that actually I'm working down in Jefferson City on behalf of, for instance, the Hemp Association and with Holly Rader, because this is really super important, because I did, as a citizen a while back, as maybe many of you did, vote to legalize marijuana because I knew so many veterans, so many people who were suffering. I even had a really dear friend. She had MS and has MS, and marijuana is helping her. Marijuana-derived products are helping her. Hemp products are helping her. So then, of course, you had the dispensaries, and the dispensary licenses. You know the drill on these things. Certain people were able to get a hold of the dispensary licenses. It wasn't going to be you and me, but I was like, that's okay, whatever. But now the dispensaries and other interests are attempting to move all hemp products, no matter what, hemp-derived products, what have you, into the dispensaries, meaning you got to go to a dispensary to get it. You can't just, it's not easily, going to a dispensary isn't impossible, but it's not accessible to a lot of people, especially out, for instance, in Festus, where Rae Sifrit is and where Sunray Farms are. So you get the drill. Trying to isolate everything through a dispensary seems to be a monopoly and a syndicate that I know I didn't vote for, and that I think is going to hurt a lot of people who are using hemp-derived products for their health and well-being, including veterans, including moms for their kids, that kind of thing. And Rae Sifrit is one of those individuals affected who could be affected by this anti-free market type of approach. And, it's interesting because a lot of the hemp associations always wanted, age restrictions and in buying, packaging, explicit packaging, all that kind of stuff. So that's never been an issue. And that's what some people are using to try to slip them into dispensaries and isolate these products from normal, average, everyday people like Rae Sifrit. Rae, welcome to the show. Thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, Sunray Farms looks fun.
Thank you. I hope it is. We enjoy it at least.
So before we get to the meat of this story and why you're talking to me, I just was intrigued when I looked at Sunray Farms. It looks like it's a fun place, and I'm sure you're having fun as the owner of Sunray Farms. So what goes on there on a regular basis?
So at the farm, we do a lot of planting and homeschooling and education to our children and other people about living on the land and living a regenerative lifestyle. At Sunray Farm Social Lounge, it's a place where I educate. So I was a 12-year healthcare provider for Big Mercy Hospital here in our Midwest area. I worked for them for almost 12 years, and now instead of going into the rat race every day and giving myself to patients, I have the ability to go to my own state of business and teach people how to take their healthcare into their own hands, and how to go to the doctor only when it's a must and not to have to rely on that. So here at Sunray Farms, we love life and we love educating people on how to help themselves.
Wow, this is so well timed in this new frontier of more attention to health and to the purity of our foods and the eschewing of processed foods and eating right and just only kind of living off of things that, well, don't eat anything that out of a bag. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I've heard of a lot of these kinds of farms popping up. I know they have kind of one in Newtown, and I know way out in Defiance there's somebody that's doing that. And what a great thing to teach children about this holistic way of eating and taking care of yourself, because that really makes a difference.
Absolutely. It truly does. So, not to just dive right in, but I'm a third generation farmer. I grew up in Southern Illinois on a very large farm, and I would get sick twice a year. And they told my parents it was chronic bronchitis. Okay, every single year around spring and fall, I would have an inhaler. I'd get rushed to the hospital. I couldn't go through with my T-ball and then softball and then fast pitch because I was sick constantly at that time. Well, once I moved away, I found out that was because of what they were spraying on the crops that were on the farms next to me. And so didn't take that all into consideration when I was young. And it really, really came into my thought process whenever my son, Bodie, was born and came into the picture. And it's interesting that you bring up the fact that there's a lot of not new education, but there's a lot more people that are taking education and what they eat and what the government says is good for us and understanding that it's not, and then taking it into their own hands. Because if it was not for Bodie, we would not have dove down into the food journey per se as much as we have. We were had a son who was born with an idiopathic autoimmune disease. Crazy name, right?
Yeah.
But that's because they couldn't figure out what was wrong. There was something going on with his immune system that they just could not diagnose. So that's where the idiopathic autoimmune disease came into play. And he was born in the NICU. He spent 29 days there. Then he came home, constant illnesses, constant upper respiratory infections, constant bilateral busted eardrums, 4 surgeries before he was even 4. And my husband and I were both like, something's got to give, man. This poor little boy has just done nothing but fight and fight and fight. And so, as a healthcare provider and as a mom who knows the genetic makeup of her son, I was sick and tired of giving the pharmaceuticals. They were not working. They were not helping. They were causing ulterior issues, which in his family, some addiction runs in generational past. And so I'm like, we've had to give him Tylenol and Vicodin before he was even a year old. I don't want to pre-expose him to something. Let's see what we can do. So CBD is something that we started giving Bodhi for his busted eardrums and for his ear surgeries and his sinus surgeries because it was natural. Now, we could have went and gotten CBD from a grocery store or from a pharmacy.
Yeah.
But we chose not to. For us, being a farmer, knowing that I would get sick because of what was sprayed on the plants and the things that we would buy from the local store, my husband and I decided it was extremely important that we grow it ourselves, that we process it ourselves, and that we know exactly what it was grown with. People think I'm nuts when I say that, but not only what it's grown with and what it's used to IPM, which is an integrated pest management procedure to keep bugs and things off your plant so it can have its full life, that all affects the end process. And so with our son, it was a must to know all of those things because those things affected him and it affected his immune health. And so once we started weaning out all processed foods, he was on formula for, the first 2 years of his life because I could never produce milk, and he was in the NICU, and that's what they started him off on. So that's what I went with. We got him off of that, started getting him on goat's milk and raw milk, and started really working on his gut health and like detoxifying his body. So Bodhi was the first child in the state of Missouri to get his medical marijuana card.
Wow.
And 22 months old.
Yeah.
He got that card.
Yeah.
Because mom and dad we didn't want him to have Vicodin and all of the things for his surgeries. And so we went natural. And that's how we were able to grow CBD for him in an organic, regenerative farming way where we knew everything was on it. And now that Bodhi is a little bit older, he still has his card. His last surgery was at 4, and he gives himself his medicine every day. My son takes hemp every single day, not the intoxicating form that you and I would think of by smoking it or eating
sure.
it. But he takes a plant in a vegetative state, which means when it's all green and bushy, and he and my daughter will juice it. And then they make ice cubes and fun little shaped nutrient-packed vitamins. So in our family, we tend to not use anything you buy at the store. We try to make everything ourselves. We hunt, we fish, we forage.
Nice.
Just really live off of the land here in Missouri.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. So, and Bodhi, obviously, his situation might be unusual health-wise, but his access and the benefits of CBD to him, that is happening for tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Missourians, whether they be veterans or whether they be people with chronic types of diseases. I know that Crohn's is one of them that use, and this whole effort looks like it's going to shut all this down. If it doesn't run it through the dispensaries, then it shuts it all down too. So it seems to be, I don't think people who are just regularly using this all ought to have marijuana cards or have to get them and have to go to a dispensary for it and everything else. I mean, easy access is easy health for a lot of people. And this bill down there would shut that easy access off.
Absolutely, it would. And that's the thing that a lot of my patients say that come into our social lounge. I deal with a lot of rural community demographics. And so whenever I worked in the healthcare field, a lot of the complaints were I can't afford my meds and I can't afford to go back and forth to the doctor. And so that's what you see here is one of the biggest complaints. And I have a lot of people that come and see us, and they're seeking out a holistic medicine and a cheaper medicine that doesn't cause alternative issues. So then they have to keep going to the doctor.
Yeah, and aside from that, you don't want to also have to, pack everybody up and drive into town to the dispensary. But I think it really is going to be harmful to a lot of people, and plus there are places where there are no dispensaries, so you'd have to take a trip into St. Louis or Arnold or whatever, and it just doesn't seem right. And the benefit, and I don't think this has really a whole lot to do, frankly, with this idea that somehow kids are just buying it, at a gas station. That's really not happening. And the Hemp Association and others have always advocated for tougher rules, tighter restrictions, everything else. That's not a problem.
No, not at all. That's something we actually want. Absolutely, because it helps us study it as well, so let's regulate it. Let's actually be able to study this across the board and know it truly helps people. And let's not make it a monopoly, because to be honest, I couldn't get my son's meds at a dispensary. If you want to be realistic, dispensaries are not growing organically. They would actually put my son into a backslide if I would try to go up there and get his medicine. What's the point of that? Then I just more doctor's appointments, more issues. And it's from a medical dispensary that would then make my son sick. I wanted to make that very clear, because people don't think that. They think because it's a dispensary that everything they're getting is 100% and it's good. And in our case, it would not be.
No, I think there are a lot of cases where it's really not. And I just think, and as you point out, the word monopoly, I frankly, and I said at the very top, I didn't vote for this. I voted for freedom. I voted for better access to CBD, marijuana, even for some people who actually need that part of the product, especially veterans. But they're also doing CBD as well, and people with cancer and everything else. And so, but I did not vote for some kind of narrow syndicate to be operating in Missouri and putting other people kind of out of business or in jeopardy regarding their health. I definitely didn't vote for that.
Oh, God, no. Neither did I.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, that's really cool. So you guys, I think this new focus on sustainability and self-sustainability and sustainable farming and everything else is just the greatest. And I wish you the best of luck with that. And you have a website, is that correct?
We have a Facebook page and an Instagram page.
Oh, that's good enough. Yeah, this is Rae Sifrit. She's the owner of Sunray Farms, and you could learn more about it. Just go ahead and search it out on Facebook or Instagram. There's plenty of nice images and also info up there. And really appreciate the privilege also of not only having you on the air, but working on behalf of you and your family and all you great people out there, just trying to get along as healthily as you possibly can. Rae Sifrit, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thanks for trying to help fight that fight to keep hemp here in the state of Missouri and not make it a monopoly for corporate dispensaries. It's extremely important. So thank you.
Yes, it is. All right. Thank you so much, Rae Sifrit. And again, in full disclosure, I am working as a lobbyist in Missouri for that. So, Rae, thank you so much. I appreciate you joining us. But just so you guys know, I am working for the Hemp Association in Jefferson City, in full disclosure, but I'm glad to be because on so many different issues, I have been working on several of them, and you've heard about one of them already with the PBMs and the pharmacy business managers and things like that are helping so many people. And so I really am honored to be working on a really, truly worthwhile cause. And you can tell with Rae Sifrit that and her son Bodie and that family, and she's talked to so many people because she has that social element out there as well as Sunray Farms, who really are relying on hemp products for their health. And, I did mention earlier that the dispensaries just want them to go through the dispensaries, but honestly, the real goal is to put everybody out of business. That's not a dispensary. And that's what we have to fight here, because that's not what I voted for, and I'm sure that's not what you voted for either. And Mayor Margaret Wright, sustainable farming is wonderful. I got to tell you, I love it so much. I have now 2 gardens in my backyard, and I'm kind of trying to learn a little bit about, placing the plants and stuff like that. But I'll get there because I have a big backyard. I could probably put 3 gardens in there because I love eating. It's just fun to eat from the garden. Eat peppers and herbs and everything else in the morning during the summertime when everything's growing. I'll make an egg and I'll go out and pick some rosemary or some parsley or whatever and pop it into a egg breakfast. And and the tomatoes are great. The peppers are great. I have to learn about the cucumbers because Kathleen, do I need chickens? I think I do. Julie's Matthews, her son has chickens, and the chickens lay eggs and everything. It's like she's on the feed here too. They lay eggs and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. But maybe I do. I don't know. I'll have to see, because here's the problem with the chickens, though. And I've known people. I have some friends in Webster Groves who have chickens, and I'm telling you, if it's not a hawk that's going to eat that chicken, in my neighborhood, it'll be the coyotes, and they will eat those chickens. You put them in a pen, but you don't want them just running around. I don't know. I guess I don't even know whether they would allow them in the neighborhood, but the coyotes would definitely be munching on some chickens, I'll tell you. But no, I got to figure out. So I did a lot of pickles. I made a lot of pickles, and I didn't really do the canning part of it. You know what I mean? I didn't really do the jarring. I just put them in jars with with mix and that kind of thing. But I do the cucumbers, and the problem is the cucumbers are like, "Hi everybody, we're cucumbers," and all they do is like grow like nuts, and then take all the nutrients out of the garden. So the tomatoes are like staring at them going, "Dudes, you guys are growing way too much. We're starving," and then that hurts my tomato plant. So I got to figure it out. I got to get better at gardening. I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of boning up to do on the gardening. Happy Tuesday, everybody. What happened to Tucker Carlson, for crying out loud? One of my heroes. And this is a story that's not being really reported too much, but this black prosecutor is in a lot of trouble for trying to prevent the freedom of a white woman. Yeah. Tell you that whole story coming up. It's Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Window World window. In my travels as a real estate agent, also I really have enjoyed seeing, because I show a lot of rehabbed homes. For some reason, that's kind of in these days. And literally every time I go into a rehabbed home, it has the Window World windows in it. And that's why when I say that it's the number one window, according to Qualified Remodeler magazine, remodelers absolutely love the window, not only for its double pane strength, but also for the fact that it is hugely durable, thermally superior, and on top of that, really looks nice. The Window World window does. It is one of two windows in the nation with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. And Window World loves its windows as much as the people who buy them. That's because Window World says, hey, we love them so much, we're going to give you a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And that's going to be what it's all about. And we're going to offer 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. You can call them today. 800-GET-WINDOWS for a free in-home, no-pressure estimate. And what happens with the in-home display, have the person who has the window brought into you, have them stand on it. And they'll prove to you that that window is tough as nails. 800-GET-WINDOWS, Window World, 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson. Mario's Donut Restaurant, that's your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches, omelets, delicious gyros, and Mexican dishes, to their revamped menu with cannolis, tiramisu, baklava, and danishes. And don't forget those famous donuts. Dine in or carry out, Mario's friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit, or just visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
The Hammond Institute at Lindenwood University and News Talk STL invite you to an exclusive discussion on Missouri's tax future. Manish Bhatt, Vice President of State Tax Policy for the Tax Foundation, will explore our state's tax competitiveness and the latest efforts to eliminate individual income tax and property tax. Wednesday, March 25th at Lindenwood University, part of the H.F. Langenberg Speaker Series. The event is free, but you must RSVP at hammondinstitute.org. That's hammondinstitute.org.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story. The 2009 massacre at Fort Hood.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by the Walner Home Selling Team.
The ocean, but you're surfing now. I said I love you for life, but I just sold our house. We were kids at the start, I guess we're grown-ups now.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Imagine even having doubts, but not everything works out. No, now I'm out dancing with strangers.
Happy Tuesday to all of you and yours. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here. Ashton over there, and this is a really disturbing story because, you know, oftentimes you talk about, and usually it would be like a black activist talking about the injustice of the system and it's unjust towards black people, everything else. Well, here is a situation in Georgia. And the Georgia State Supreme Court heard these arguments about the case of a woman named Hannah Payne. She was convicted of murder in 2019 during a traffic dispute, but then tried to pursue a new trial, claiming that her appointed attorney did not represent her properly and didn't make the self-defense argument that she wanted to claim. She's a white woman. The person she killed is black. So this is either incompetence or it's absolutely bald-faced lying in a situation where the Supreme Court Justice Nels Peterson is asking the state attorney, Deborah Leslie, about the cases that she brought in trying to keep Payne from getting a brand new trial, and listen to how that went down.
So before you sit down, there's one more thing I need to ask you about, unfortunately. In reviewing the trial court's order denying the motion for new trial, there are at least 5 citations to cases that don't exist, and there's at least 5 more citations to cases that do not support the proposition for which they're cited, including 3 quotations that don't exist. My understanding is that you prepared the order for new trial, the denial order for the trial court. Were those citations in the version of the order that you submitted to the trial court?
No, Your Honor, I do not believe so. They were not. I did prepare an order. That order was revised.
Okay. She thinks that she's going to get away with that, and the justice just caught her in a bald-faced lie.
So those non-existent cases were cited in your initial brief opposing the motion for new trial.
She starts shuffling through her papers like, what am I going to do now? I just got caught lying to a Supreme Court justice.
Your Honor, I'm not aware of that, but I would be glad to research that and provide the court with a supplement.
Okay.
Yeah, you do that.
We'll
honey.
get a briefing order out directing.
Yeah. So this was a bad situation. So what happened here, a couple options, and we'll follow up on this. I definitely will, because this happened a couple days ago. I will, either she used AI to put this case together, or she just simply made all this stuff up herself or with the assistance of somebody. And the reason why I don't think it was AI is because I know that AI can get things wrong sometimes, and it does. I mean, I've been there, done that. It can get facts wrong, or it can miss things, whatever. But it's hard to imagine that AI created just that many fake cases. Unless, of course, I've never done this before. I guess I could ask Claude or whatever. Hey, put me together cases and sightings of fictitious things that will help me fight this and this and this. I haven't done that. I guess I could try that at some point and figure it out. But somewhere along the line, this prosecutor is corrupt and trying to deny this woman a new trial. And I believe that if the defendant was black, it wouldn't have happened. And I believe it happened because the defendant is white and the victim is black. The supposed victim is black. And they didn't want her to get a new trial. That's the bottom line. So, good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. So we're going to explore what the heck happened to Tucker Carlson, because something's not right. On this Tuesday, the Allman Report, Common Sense Radio. The 3 Martini Lunch, people.
Tim Jones here from my great friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. How do I know? Simply put, they've helped me on many occasions. Here's another solution to your everyday aches and pains. The Studio Health and Wellness Center. Services include Pilates and yoga, both with certified instructors. I can also highly recommend the massage therapy, which is not an indulgence. It's a proven method of healing and restoration. Trust my friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
John Beal knows that right after a hailstorm, new roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Iran strikes Israel with another missile in the heart of downtown Tel Aviv. Sad Mendik reports first responders are on the scene.
A big crater in the center of the street. This is where the missile struck. Apartment buildings have been largely damaged. The facade has been blown off. There are shards of glass along the ground here. Now responders say that so far no one has been killed, and they are still searching for people who are injured.
With Israel still in the throes of missile attacks from Iran, the upcoming Passover holiday is raising special challenges this year for one nonprofit organization that empowers local churches to provide humanitarian assistance within Israel. It's called City Serve Israel, and the organization's Yuri Steinberg spoke with us from Tel Aviv.
You know, there are hundreds of families that are below the poverty line, so people are finding it really difficult to go and buy groceries. And Passover is in a week from now, so we're actually buying groceries. We're buying vegetables and fruits from the communities around Gaza Strip that were hurt 2.5 years ago. You know, this is a country that has gone through 2.5 years of constant war, and there's definitely need for that.
Steinberg adds that American churches and individuals can support their relief operation by visiting the website cityserve.us. On Capitol Hill, senators are discussing a proposal that could bring an end to the Homeland Security budget stalemate.
The plan being discussed would authorize funding for much of the Homeland Security Department, including TSA airport workers who are going without pay. But Congress would withhold funding from ICE and its removal operations, which are at the core of the dispute. Senate leaders from both parties say the two sides are working in a serious way and hopefully headed in the right direction. Greg Clugston, Washington.
On Wall Street, the Dow is up 13 points. More from townhall.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Pleasant temperatures today in the mid-60s under cloudy skies at times. Not a lot of sunshine, but very comfortable out. We're looking at lows tonight in the mid to upper 40s, so a chilly start to the day on Wednesday, but the high around 80 degrees. And then on Thursday, of course, is the home opener for the Cardinals. That temperature into the low 90s. That'll be a record high, but it won't be too humid. We'll have some cloud cover and a nice breeze. In the First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Kent Earhart.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
A celebration 100 years in the making. The National Route 66 Centennial Kickoff Celebration, presented by Vital Farms. Thursday, April 30th through Sunday, May 3rd in Springfield. The celebration kicks off with musical guests featuring Little Big Town, Chris Jansen, Gary LaVox, Gretchen Wilson, the Ozark Mountain Daredevils, and the Haygoods. Events continue through the weekend. You are invited to celebrate Route 66 with us April 30th. Tickets and information on Route66Kickoff.com. Brought to you by the Missouri Route 66 Centennial Commission.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com. Want a hands-free light that does not strap to your head or held in your mouth? Meet Dex Fingerlight at fingerlight.com. The Kryptonite ring fits any finger, pointing light exactly where you need it. Place decoys, handle gear, get close to roosted gobblers, fast, easy, stealthily. 3 light modes, waterproof, extremely durable. Developed by a father and son's Missouri team, Dex Fingerlight is faster and easier than a headlamp. Use discount code TONY20 for 20% off at fingerlight.com.
Ever feel like just a number in a waiting room? Hi, I'm Shannon Tribune, Director of Operations with Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Navigating the medical system can be a maze of stress. I'm your personal guide at Body of Health. I handle the messy parts of medical care, the logistics and complex coordination both in and outside our walls, so you and Dr. Tobler, that's my dad, can focus on what matters most, your health. At Body of Health, you're not just a patient, you're part of the family, because that's healthcare the way it ought to be. To learn more, schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com.
News, analysis, opinion.
It almost seems common sense, but, alas, common sense isn't so common these days.
News Talk STL.
I can see you by the bar, skinny margarita with a broken heart. So I slid over like a steel guitar. We started talking till I...
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you, and I don't like that song. I was experimenting, listening to some music, and for some reason, I guess I was in a mood where I was downloading a bunch of music that sounded good at the time, and then I just listened to it. I don't need to listen to some guy. Right? It was like, okay, enough of that. Seriously. This isn't much better. I'm sorry. I was kind of was riffing on a few of my things here. But where was I? Oh, yes, it's Common Sense Radio. It's the 3 Martini Lunch, my friends. Jamie Allman with you and Ashlyn over there, and I was just telling Ashlyn that they have like a little bit of a commissary of some sort, like a little marketplace here, where they put it in there. You can get food and drink and all that kind of stuff, and it started out without any kind of, there wasn't any security there, wasn't anything. There wasn't a camera there or anything like that. And it was basically just an honor system type of thing until apparently people started stealing. I don't know what it is, man. It's like, how do you do that? I mean, how do you steal a bag of potato chips? Seriously. Like, they had the soda thing has a credit card thing, so you can't, in order for it to open to get it. But you could just grab it anyway. And then they have all the food there, but apparently somebody just somebody was stealing, because that's the only, and then they just put up this big ass camera now on the thing. Camera's almost as big as the whole operation there. That's how they are trying to tell people, please don't steal. Hey, let's go live to D.C., where President Trump is hosting the swearing-in ceremony for Markwayne Mullin.
Daughters, Lara, Ivy, Lynette, and other members of the Mullin family. It's a beautiful family. You would know this guy. He's our big top wrestling guy. I won't wrestle him for anything. An all-American wrestler, huh? Good. You have good genetics in that family. Proud of you. Thanks as well to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Chairman Jason Smith, Congressman Josh Gottheimer, former Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy, and many other friends that are gathered with us. It's a great group of people. For 13 years, Markwayne has represented the incredible state of Oklahoma, a state that I won 77 out of 77 counties 3 times in a row, so they like me there. Second was Ronald Reagan at 56. Did you know that? 56, that's not bad. But 77, it's 77 out of 77, I think, right? That's not bad. But he was there in Congress as a member of the House and then as an outstanding United States Senator. And he really has been outstanding. He's been a close and vital partner in helping us secure the border,
And this was the one. Keep in mind, he was not only in Congress, but then made it to the U.S. Senate. And remember, a couple days ago, there was not a few days ago, there's somebody on the internet going, "He's the only one in the Senate without a college degree." And it's like, well, what does that tell about you? Because he's in the U.S. Senate and you're not. So that's how it goes.
But as the only Native American, I didn't know that, huh? Let me look at you. I think that's
he's a Native American. I didn't know that.
He's got great quality, I can tell you. He's the only Native American in the Senate. How many have been there before you? Do you know? Native American? I think 3. 3. Well, you're a fantastic representative. Markwayne has also been a fantastic advocate for our cherished tribal communities. He's now the first member of the Cherokee Nation.
By the way, doesn't that say so much about the Republicans and conservatives in general, that this is like the first time we're learning that Markwayne Mullin is a Native American, a Cherokee? Like normally, like that would be the number one thing people on the Democrat side would bring up. He's the first Native American DHS secretary, that kind of thing. Only the third Native American senator, but not one time was that ever mentioned, because we're not about identity politics. But now that we know it, I think that's pretty cool.
Career, and he's been inducted into the Oklahoma Wrestling Hall of Fame. And the family is made of fantastic wrestlers, especially that guy right there. That's my favorite guy, huh? And suffered bad injury and come back stronger than ever, I think. So good to have you, man, right? I have no doubt that as he takes the helm of DHS, Markwayne will fight for homeland security, the United States, and securing the country and making it really strong and the way it should be. Our country's come a long way in the last year. We set it up so beautifully, and then we had 4 years of horror. We had 4 years of disgusting horror, open borders, and things that nobody would even think of. You wouldn't even think of. 25 million people poured into our country, and we've gotten a lot of them out.
By the way, you have to imagine, too, Markwayne Mullin is making a sacrifice here because you just heard what President Trump said about how conservative Oklahoma is. And I think he said 77 out of 77 counties were red. Oklahoma's quite possibly one of the reddest states in the United States of America. So Markwayne Mullin could be in the Senate until he's 90 if he wanted to. He could basically hold that seat for life if he wanted to, and yet he went ahead and took the job to leave the Senate and work in an administration for only the next 3 years. And I would assume that he would have a really positive future in any future administration. But what I'm saying is there aren't many people who would give up kind of a sure thing in order to just simply become a member of a cabinet of a administration that will be over in 3 years, guaranteed. So that's not to say he won't carry over. I'm just saying that that's quite a great reflection on what kind of person Mark Wayne Mullen is in deciding, I'll go ahead and take this job when he could sit in that Senate like a lot of these do for the rest of his life,
If they have their chance, because they think they're going to get votes by doing that. On Thursday, a precious 18-year-old college student named Sheridan Gorman was shot and killed while she was walking in a park. She was just walking in the park, didn't do anything. The illegal alien monster charged with Sheridan's brutal murder had come illegally from Venezuela and been released into our country by Sleepy Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country. And I don't say that because I think he's fine. He's okay. I don't like him, dislike him. I talk about job performance. That's all I care about, job performance. Worst president in history. And Obama wasn't far behind, by the way. But he was then arrested and released again by Democrat governor, a real slob of a governor, J.B. Pritzker, in the sanctuary city of Chicago, which we could make safe in 2 months, I would say. 2 months if we sent in the group, Tom, right? 2 months would be good. 3 months, very good. 4 or 5 months, it would be great. But they would never call because they don't want to do that. All they have to do is call and ask for a little help. The Democrats in Congress do not care how much American blood they shed in their demented pursuit of open borders. From Sheridan Gorman to Jocelyn Nungary and Laken Riley, their quest to flood our country with illegal aliens has left countless American victims in its wake. They never changed. They see what's happening. They never change. That's what they want. They want to get the votes. With sanctuary and sanctuary cities going at levels that they are, and we've ended a lot. We've done a lot. But for some reason, they love it. It's a sanctuary. Sanctuary cities are sanctuary it's really a sanctuary for criminals. With Secretary Mullen at DHS, we will continue our record-setting efforts to.
All right. Well, anyway, you get the drift here. So he's going to swear him in, and if Mark Wayne Mullen says anything, we'll pop in. I got a text just a little bit ago, straight up at 1:00, and it said the St. Louis County General Municipal Election is for 7. Apply for an absentee ballot by 3:25, mail or online. 4, 6 in person. So, again, this is an example. I mean, I think at one point the absentee ballots have been totally and completely misused and abused. I mean, you remember back in the day when absentee ballots were kind of rare as opposed to something that basically so many people wind up doing. And our system of voting is really jacked up. And that's why the Supreme Court is now considering, and I do believe that ultimately the Supreme Court is going to rule that Election Day is Election Day. And Election Day is not 4 days after Election Day or 3 weeks after Election Day. And because the mail-in ballots that keep on magically coming in, whatever, you do realize that in 2020, and again, I'm not too concerned about it now because I think even if the election was stolen in 2020, that we wound up better off in the end, it looks like, with the exception of, the ways in which Biden destroyed this country, the economy, and blasted our border. But, that's a high price to pay. But the fact of the matter is President Trump came back even stronger. But for the sake of argument, 2020, if you look at 2020 and what happened in 2020, the crux of the whole issue, and this is why on January 6th of 2021, we wanted a review of certain states' voting totals. That's what January 6th was all about. It's always been that way after elections. I've explained all that before. So one of the really egregious situations that the Supreme Court, for some reason, decided not to hear was the situation in Pennsylvania, where the state Supreme Court violated the Pennsylvania Constitution by extending mail-in voting for 3 days past the election. So basically, you could count the mail-in votes for 3 days after the election. The Supreme Court decided that in direct violation of the Pennsylvania Constitution. And keep in mind, at the time, Attorney General Eric Schmidt from Missouri, and I think about 17 other attorneys general all filed a lawsuit. I think Texas. Let me backtrack here for a second. It was Texas that filed the original suit, saying that because of the fraud in Pennsylvania, which it was a fraudulent decision, Texas voters were denied their voting rights because essentially their vote didn't count because the other votes did. You know, it kind of counted them out, and so they were kind of denied that their voting rights. So Texas sued, and then, of course, at that time, Attorney General Schmidt piled on, and then other attorneys general throughout the country piled on as well. But the Supreme Court refused to hear the case. But that Pennsylvania extension of the mail-in voting, counting, and everything else, that Pennsylvania decision did, in fact, serve to alter the election, and indeed, President Trump lost Pennsylvania that year. So that's the crux of what the Supreme Court is talking about. So what does Sonia Sotomayor do? She tries to do this gotcha question with this lawyer who is fighting on the right side, and listen to this.
You believe that absentee voting by the military and overseas voters, the various laws, that federal laws under which states have proceeded with respect to those votes are illegal? No, or they're not saying what everybody has understood them to say, that states can accept absentee ballots after the election? So military and overseas ballots?
I don't think any vote is unlawful. Let me try to address how I think you would reconcile UACAVA with the Election Day statutes. And to start, I think it's important to recognize that UACAVA is not limited to the federal general election. So UACAVA applies to primary elections, to runoff elections, and special elections, and federal general elections. The Election Day statutes only apply to the general federal election. So the way I would reconcile the two is to say that all the references in UACAVA to state deadlines are perfectly fine, not preempted at all, not displaced at all, not even anomalous with respect to the primaries, the runoffs, and the special elections. Then the court has a job to do in the federal general election as to say, like, kind of which is the specific, which is the general. I think the more logical way to do it would be to say that with the understanding in this court, if you decide in our favor, that for the federal general election, the ballots have to be in by Election Day, I would say...
Maybe we should have another president now, because wasn't it in Florida that they were counting military votes after receipt?
So with all due respect, that is the reddest of red herrings, because what happened in the 2000 election in Florida is that pursuant to a consent decree that was entered by a federal court because Florida was violating the principal provision of UACAVA, which says you have to give the absentee ballots to the overseas voters 45 days in advance. Because Florida was violating that, there had to be a consent decree to create a remedy that was not provided
What happened was that the judge made up the deadline, not the state.
Yeah, whatever. Another DEI hire embarrasses herself on the national stage. Let's go back to D.C. President Trump is now taking questions after the swearing in of Mark Wayne Mullen. We'll see what kind of gems come from the media here.
I think being a great athlete and having a family of great athletes, they have produced great athletes in this family, All-American wrestlers. They especially like wrestling, by the way. And what about baseball? Do you play baseball? Anything? They like wrestling. But I don't think that you would say that his family, and I don't know this for a fact, and I shouldn't say it because I could get myself. Does anybody in your family want men to play in women's sports? I don't think so, Jim, right? I don't think so. I don't think. How would they do? Would they do good wrestling you? They would be in trouble? He said, yes, they'd be in big trouble. It's so crazy. So that would be one. And then we have a few others that we call them the best of Trump. But if you look at transgender mutilization of children, we don't want that. It's the mutilization of children. We don't want that. So generally speaking, I think I can answer that Mark Wayne would be very much in favor of what I'm in favor of. Would you say that's right, Mark? I can't think of too many things. He might be worse. He might be worse than me. That's my look at his wife is saying. That's right. But so yeah, he's going to be great. Yeah.
Do you believe the secretary will run DHS any differently than Kristi Noem did? What do you hope to see as his priorities?
Well, we had a good run. Look, we created the strongest border with the help of that man right there. Tom is so incredible, and he's going to be a big influence here too. There's nobody more professional, nobody better. There's nobody better as a human being. You know, he looks tough, but he's got a good heart, but not too good. Don't make it too good. But you know, we had Tom. We have the safest border we've ever had. We have a lot of assets, but a lot of things we can do, and we're going to do. We have to get criminals out of our country that were allowed in by Biden. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, do you support what appears to be emerging agreement coming out of the Senate to reopen DHS?
Well, I'm going to look at it, and we're going to take a good hard look at it. I want to support Republicans, and, you know, sometimes it's awfully hard to get votes when you have Democrats that don't want to have voter ID. They don't want to have proof of citizenship. They don't want to do anything about men playing in women's sports. That's one of the items we put on, you know. And I did that just because it's so popular. You know, they say that's at least an 80-20 issue. No, it's about a 99-1. I don't think it's, what do you think, Pete? Do you think it's 80-20?
All right, so anyway, it looks to me like the situation in the Senate, they're looking at a way to possibly go ahead and keep this funded or fund it. I know that the nuking the filibuster, to me, is the best way to do it. But either way, it turns out, speaking of DHS, it turns out that the Border Patrol and ICE at the airports actually is working. CNN had to admit it.
Finally, we can take a deep breath here. The numbers have dropped off. The lines are getting shorter. I think the average wait time now is under 40 minutes.
Yeah, so the average wait time at Hartsfield Airport is under 40 minutes. So there you go. All right. I will finally get to it, ladies and gentlemen. What the heck happened to Tucker Carlson? The chatterers out there on the interwebs are aflame that Tucker Carlson's whole rep is now in flames. It's Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch. Happy Tuesday to all of you and yours.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Never paint again. This is Darren, owner of Rhino Shield. Want to eliminate painting your home, business, or church? Call the experts at Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary ceramic wall coating to regular paint and vinyl. Perfect for aluminum, steel, unpainted brick, block, stucco, ephes, drive-it, cement board, and wood sidings. Rhino Shield eliminates wasting time and money painting year after year. Our ceramic coating deflects 90% of the sun's UV rays and 100% of the moisture. Our clients want affordable protection with the elimination of maintenance. Rhino Shield protects your biggest investment while maintaining your architectural features and gives you the curb appeal you deserve. Make your home great again by working with the Rhino Shield experts. A+ rated with the BBB. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Want to work with a winner? Follow the multiplier. 279 times growth in total market cap in the past nearly 30 years. 50 times growth in client assets. And ranked the #1 wealth management firm for employee advisor satisfaction by J.D. Power 3 years in a row. Choose a winner. Choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
The Allman Report, sponsored by Gemini Wealth Group.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here and Ashlyn over there. In the 3 Martini Lunch. That's what it is, everybody. So I don't know whether it's now just kind of like the thing, you know, that people do, like Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson. I mean, Candace Owens is already kind of gone, you know what I mean? But I guess in the world of eyes on the internet, you have to kind of establish something that will get you the clicks and something that'll get you the attention, and I will tell you that what Tucker Carlson, I'm about to tell you what Tucker Carlson said, is not actually an opinion that only Tucker Carlson has. I can assure you that there are a lot of young kids, especially young guys, who have this opinion. Tucker Carlson is being roasted over this, but I'm not quite sure. I mean, I think what they're saying is they're saying that he's kind of simping for Sharia law. I'm not quite sure that's the case, but listen, you can decide for yourself on this.
I travel so much that I see it. There's not a single Western city that's thriving. And they're all degrading in exactly the same way.
Is a lot of it just a moral decay, or is it actually true from everything?
It's a lot of things, but it's self-hatred. Every city.
Crazy.
Every European city, every American city. It's just why people lose their will to live, their will to pass on their culture, their values, their religion to their children, their will to have children. It's all gone. I mean, it's not gone with everybody, but I mean, in the cities, you really see it. It's like the people who built this are long gone, and their descendants have fled, and they don't care enough to keep it going. There's just a lack of self-respect that is disgusting to me, and I have contempt for it.
And before we get to what he says about Sharia law, is what Tucker Carlson is what he's saying about Western culture, and I'm talking about non-Islamic culture, is what he's saying untrue? Because I know in the United States, there's thankfully more of a resurgence of faith. We saw that upon the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We saw that with so many people piling into the stadiums. I'm going to have an example for you later on in the week when I do a feature for you on this beautiful church, because I want to get you geared up for Easter and Palm Sunday and everything else. Francis de Sales, which is a beautiful church, and I went there a week and a half ago before I left for Cabo and interviewed the pastor there, and I'm doing kind of a whole story about how this is a traditional mass at St. Francis de Sales, and there are a lot of young people, young families, who are going there. It's in South St. Louis. So there are a lot of people who are passing on their faith and who are involving that in their families, everything else. But Tucker is making the point that it is a swim upstream, however, in America. It's not looked upon favorably by the opinion leaders in this country. Obviously, President Trump, but you know what I'm talking about. News people, the overall media, Time Magazine, Newsweek, all these places are bitter and look down on traditions, even families, and they look down on faith and going to church and doing all that kind of stuff. They thumb their nose at it. And I think Tucker Carlson is right that it involves a level of self-hate. I've been telling you for a long time what's happening in Europe. Nobody goes to church in Italy anymore. Nobody goes to church in Germany anymore. Nobody goes to church in France anymore. I was glad they reopened Notre Dame as a Catholic church. I thought for sure after it burned they were going to go, oh, here's your ecumenical, everybody's welcome at Notre Dame. I mean, everybody is, but you know what I mean. But, that's because they have watered down their culture so much, and also to a certain degree, the Muslims have colonized the European countries to the point where sometimes even exercising your Christian faith is considered to be an insult to the colonizing Muslims. But anyway, to Tucker Carlson's point, he is pointing out that Western civilization, Western culture is a rotting tree, and that eventually Islam is going to take that over, because that's the one thing that isn't watering itself down.
It doesn't bother me to be hated. What really bothers me is when people hate themselves. If you hate if you hate yourself, how are you going to treat me?
That's correct.
Oh man, I don't like it. So I notice it because I travel outside the Western world, the white world. I'll just be honest, the white world.
Right.
I travel a lot in the Middle East. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm not Muslim, obviously. In fact, I'm like a Christian, flat out Christian. And my ancestors are from Europe. And so I have nothing in common on that level with the Gulf. But you go to the Gulf and it's incredible to be in a place that has pride in itself, that believes in its religion and culture, that thinks we're onto something. And this is great. Look at what we're doing. We're really proud of this. Those people are happy. They're welcoming of others. They're tolerant of diversity. Like we always talk about tolerant of diversity. There's none of that here. Are you kidding? All the whites, we love black people.
First of all, that's where I am going. DLW says, he says the churches were pretty full when I was in Italy last August. Well, that's good, man. I was in Rome in 2018, and it wasn't that. So maybe there's a resurgence. I think Italy's probably an exception, DLW. I think you're probably right to point that out. I mean, they're an exception even when it comes to their borders. You don't have too many jacked up South Americans or Arabs just moving into Italy like they're doing in France and Germany. So I should probably carve out Italy as an exception there. But back to Tucker Carlson's point. I disagree with him. I do not think that Islamic societies embrace diversity. I don't know where he's getting that idea. Islamic societies don't embrace diversity. So I don't know where the hell he's coming up with that part of it. Like, oh yeah, they love diversity. Come on, you've seen what's happened in Europe. You've seen what has happened in the UK when people dare to promote their countries or their faiths or whatever. You go to jail. Now, I'm not quite sure. You could say, well, that's not the Islamics' fault. That's the legal system's fault. Maybe so, but it's pressured by Islam. Now, keep in mind, I mean, I know Muslims who are very embracing of other faiths. I mean, I've talked to them. I'm friends with them. I'm taking 2 of them fishing in April because they're the kids of Izzy, who took care of my mom in her final year and a half or 2 of life. And she's a wonderful woman. And Yusuf and Samaya are 2 in their 20s, and they're great kids. And for some reason, Samaya has wanted to go fishing. So I bought a couple of fishing poles off of Amazon. And for Samaya's birthday, I am taking them fishing. And I think I asked you guys a while back when I was going to do it, and then the weather got bad. Where a good place to go. I think there's one as you go down 21 towards Imperial. There's a little fishing area there that has like little shelters where you could sit and fish. So I'm going to figure it out. But anyway, those, and I had a wonderful conversation with Yusuf, and it's always been, that we sometimes, even at my mom's funeral, Yusuf read a Muslim prayer. The funeral in church there in Kirkwood. So, it's not like, all Muslims are like that. But when you go to some Sharia societies, they're not tolerant. And there was some implication here, because Tucker went on to say that Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West. Well, of course, because when you are strict and basically nobody can move and there is no diversity, then of course you can be advanced. I mean, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't have diversity here. That's part of the price you pay for diversity, and I'm okay with that. You're going to have a mix of different people, different backgrounds, whatever. Islam doesn't have any of that. I mean, that's why, like in Norway or Sweden, everybody's kind of on the same page. No Arabs. Well, because they're all white. They're Norwegians, and I think it's Norway that's doing it. One of them is like, they were like, they finally just said, we're not have no more people with brown skin are coming into our country. So, I mean, so that's what you get when you have all white people making the decisions, right? In that case. And I'm not quite sure that's a bad decision they made. What I'm saying is, though, to the idea that Sharia law, of course it makes Islamic societies more advanced. If you're an Islamic society and you believe that women ought to be covered head to toe, then of course Sharia law is going to be considered an advancement. So I think Tucker's a little crazy because, I mean, I think there are people, back in the day it used to be like there are people who admired the Mormons because the Mormons were so ordered, and usually it was dudes who admired the Mormons. In any kind of people who admire strict faiths, they're usually guys, because the strict faiths control their ladies and keep their mouths shut. That's what the guys like, and keep them obeying and all that kind of stuff. So it's no wonder. But it used to be the Mormons. I remember my dad talking about that with the Mormons. There were people who were, that was back there in the 60s, and he was like, I don't know, I really like the Mormons now. Yeah, but and now it's like the Muslims. Yeah, of course you like it because it keeps the women under your thumb, and you just can run around with your beard, do whatever you want to do, and everybody else obeys you. That's kind of what that's all about. So, yeah, it's easy to advance when you have no other elements that you have to deal with and no disagreement on anything. I mean, so it's just it really is almost a very immature and really super simple way to look at things when you just kind of say that these people who have these strict, I mean, there are no gay people that are visible in Islamic society for the most part, especially in Iran, because it's illegal. They hang them. So I don't know how, I mean, Sharia law, being gay is illegal. So yeah, of course you're going to advance your society when you have to deal with those gay people anywhere, right? Or anything else. So I think Tucker's kind of full of crap, but he's right about the deterioration of the West as far as I'm concerned. So that is for sure. Yeah, DLW also pointing out Poland, Hungary, and Romania. Yeah, I mean, they're... And the others all have. And I think Tucker's right. It is a level of self-loathing. But I just message to France and Germany, we're not bailing you out. You got cucked by the Nazis and we bailed you out. You're cucked by the Muslims now, and nobody's going to come and rescue you. That's just the way it is. That's Common Sense Radio for you. It's Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
When insurance companies know you're represented by Under Law, they know Under is not going to let you be pushed around. Their reputation is built on years of courtroom battles. If you suffer an injury or damage to your property, serve the insurance company notice you have Under Law on your side. A St. Louis firm you can trust to protect you at every term. Don't settle for less. You want to win? Believe me, Under wins. Under, O-N-D-R, underlaw.com.
Cardinal Nation, it's time to paint the town red.
Opening day of Cardinal baseball at Busch Stadium.
And there's nothing else like it.
It's a St. Louis tradition.
Two things define St. Louis: Cardinal baseball and News Talk STL.
Play ball!
Cardinal baseball opening day, March 26th, backed by our hometown favorites, Best Buy Flooring, Gemini Wealth Management, and Whistle Pig Outdoors.
Cardinal baseball!
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Tuesday, April 7th is Election Day, so David Stokes of Show Me Institute will join us at 4:20 for an Election Day preview.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Gemini Wealth Group.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. I can't stand it when this happens. You ever get these? I get this random email, and hey, thanks for your visit to Top Golf Vineyard on 3/23/2026. We hope you had a great time. Share your feedback. I'm thinking, okay, first of all, I didn't go to Top Golf Vineyard, which is in Utah. Because sometimes I think, well, maybe Aiden went to Top Golf in Phoenix or whatever, and I'm like, I didn't go there. And it's weird because when I first signed up for Top Golf, I love Top Golf, by the way. My girls really loved it. We haven't gone very often lately. But I misspelled my name when I added my name to some list or something, and it was, instead of James, it was Janes. Janes. And this is, hey, Janes. Thanks for coming to Top Golf Vineyard in Utah. I'm thinking, wow, okay. How does that happen? Someone's running around with my, I don't know. As long as they're not with my credit, as long as it's not on my credit card, because Top Golf's expensive. I'm going to check and make sure that isn't happening. Speaking of Utah, let's go back to the Charlie Kirk assassination real quickly, because there's something weird that has happened, and now everybody is kind of conjecturing about it and whatever else. Charlie Kirk had a mentor, and this is Jeff Webb, who was with Charlie Kirk when he was shot, and apparently this is what happened. Charlie Kirk's longtime mentor has died following a bizarre and tragic pickleball accident. Jeff Webb died after falling while playing pickleball and suffering a severe head injury. The 76-year-old was hospitalized after the accident, and his family later decided to take him off of life support. And it's really interesting, but it's not as interesting as Cenk Uygur puts it. He's, one of these left-wing guys. You've heard about all that before. I think he was with the Young Turks, and is fairly interesting. So this is what he said. Charlie Kirk's mentor just died in a freak pickleball accident. That's an incredibly strange coincidence. If you're going to say that's not weird, that there are tons of pickleball fatalities, you sound nuts. I don't know what happened, but I don't think this is perfectly normal. And it's like, well, okay, I guess it'd be different if he was shot while playing pickleball or something else happened, but falling and hitting your head during pickleball, I haven't watched a lot of pickleball, and when someone mentions pickleball, I think of somewhere to go, do, or say that's different, because I don't want to talk about pickleball. For a while there, I was sick of pickleball because everybody was playing pickleball. Play pickleball. I play pickleball. Pickleball. And Mark Kaysen was always playing pickleball. And the minute Kaysen started playing pickleball, it ruined it for me anyway. I got to have him back on the air soon anyway. We play pickleball in Forest Park. It's like, of course you do. But anyway, pickleball's like, and I get it. If you guys play pickleball, I'm sorry. But if that's the one thing, if they made a remake of Cocoon, the people in Cocoon would be playing pickleball. I'm just saying. So anyway, I know it's good action. I get it. Anyway, this is like makes the most sense of any kind of death could make. Some guy falling while playing pickleball and hitting his head. He's 76 years old. You know, that can happen. And so the idea somehow that some way, shape, or form this guy was somehow murdered is ridiculous. And what a coincidence! What's crazy? This isn't a coincidence. And by the way, Cenk Uygur also happens to be an Islamist. And so there are a lot of people clapping back at him, saying, "Oh, okay. So what's next? Are you gonna blame it on Israel?" And by the way, what is Candace Owens going to say about this ultimately? And then this other guy who is pretty funny, because some of these people, I love sometimes watching people when they make fools of themselves on Twitter or something. They get back. This one guy said, "Sure, Jake, old people never fall and hit their head. So you may be onto something here." It's like, yeah, right. Of course, 76 years old, you're playing pickleball, you fall and you hit your head. It's like, that's not, it's not really in any way, shape, or form shouldn't be unusual. No one should question Cenk. This is what he said when people were. The one guy said, "Just remember, it was something like 25 character witnesses died within 3 years of JFK getting assassinated." This is a guy trying to affirm Cenk's position that pickleball deaths are to be investigated as possible conspiracies. Cenk was like, "No one should question those either. I heard half of them were in badminton tragedies." But people are saying that's all perfectly normal. I mean, this is, again, this is the level at which some of these people on the internet are talking. I think it's sad that Charlie Kirk's mentor passed away and died like this. I think he was, I think he might have been there at the time of the assassination. I don't know. I seem to remember perhaps he was. So anyway, you guys, hey, just guzzle the rest of that martini, because the 3-martini lunch is hereby ended. We're on our way to the park to play. Ashton, thanks so much. Appreciate you. Coming up next, it is Tony Colombo and Colombo and Company. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.